Hey everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, I will be using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Alyssa Edwards eyeshadow palette. I am using this palette because it is in palette Limbo, and what that means is essentially I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm on the verge of decluttering it, but I want to give it a fair shot by actually using the shadows a lot more or a little more. Just to get a better understanding of my thoughts on it. So yeah, I did just film my eyeshadow palette collection and declutter video. So look forward to that. And that is why I want to dive into this palette because it is one of the ones that are in palette limbo. So since I am wearing a purple shirt, by the way, this is a Bailey Sarian merch shirt from ages ago, like long ago. I think a purple eye look will be the right move. So I'm going to take the shade Believe. Oh, I don't have any eyeshadow primer on. I just have my skincare on. So this could go well or not. So the reason why I haven't reached for this palette is because I'm just more enthralled by the other eyeshadow palettes I own. This was never an eyeshadow palette I was ever interested in when it was fresh on the market. Because I don't think I was ever drawn to brights ever. But yeah, my friend did pass this palette on to me, so that is why I am considering keeping it. Because it was a free palette. So far, this is the shade Believe. I am just packing it on in the outer third of my eye and in my crease. Now, not using an eyeshadow primer might not make this palette perform well, but I'm gonna be quite busy and there are time constraints, so I'm just pushing through. It is a very beautiful purple matte. These pressed pigments though might perform better on an actual primed eye, because the shade Believe is kind of just staying in one spot, but it is still blending, but it just doesn't look like a seamless blend. So that is probably my bad, honestly. This shade is so pretty though. Again, I am in my purple phase. I love purple. So I have yet to use the bright shades in this palette or the colorful shades in this palette. And I just need to at least give it a shot. So that is the shade Believe. It's that deep purple. It's very pretty. The next shade I want to take is Unicorn Tribe. It's like a lighter, more muted purple. It has a bit of a warm undertone compared to Believe. Believe is definitely a cooler undertone, but I kind of just want a nice transition or blend. Oh yeah, this is definitely very warm leaning, but this will be exciting to kind of see how they blend together. So I am just tapping off a lot of the excess and then patting the shade Unicorn Tribe on to my crease, and also patting it into Believe. It's a lot more pink in tone. But I'm just patting, not blending quite yet. Now I will blend the shade Unicorn Tribe in this first inner half of my eye. And then I am taking the other brush. It's the brush that I used for the shade Believe. I'm going to use that to blend and buff the shade Unicorn Tribe and Believe together, because I still want some depth in the outer corner or outer half of my eye. Taking the shade Believe, which is that deep purple that's in the outer half of my eye, tapping off the excess and just trying to build up the pigment a little more, because I don't want to lose the saturation of this shade. So I packed it on and now I am blending. I have not been wearing makeup. It's just, especially eyeshadow makeup, it's just a lot. And like, the winter season just kills my whole entire mood, my vibe, and everything. And I just stop being an exciting person. But you know, it comes in waves, so okay. Taking a little bit more of Believe, and then there's one part of my eye that it's just not staying in, which it's kind of like the area where I tear up a lot. So that kind of makes sense, I guess. So far, there isn't a lot of fallout, and again, I'm not using an eyeshadow primer, so that's impressive. Now I'm taking the other brush that I was using for the shade Unicorn Tribe, the very warm toned purple that has like that kind of pink tone to it. I'm just lightly adding some of that into the look, just lightly blending, not too rough. Kind of satisfied with that blend. It's not too bad, but I'm only working with a non-primed eye, so the next shade I want to take is a shimmer. Now there's only 3 shimmers to work with in this palette. We have a neutral gold shimmer, a nice deep purple shimmer, hot pink shimmer. Taking the shade DTG, it's a very beautiful shimmer. And I'm just going to pack it and press it in the area where I pretty much did not apply any eyeshadow. Shimmers, well, this shimmer in particular, it's pretty. It's not super shimmery. Like, in terms of its sparkle output, I feel like there could be more. But then again, this palette is several years old. When it first released, it was probably like 20, late 20 teens or something like that. Yeah. So the shimmers weren't exactly how they are nowadays. Still pretty though. It's definitely a bright royal purple. It's beautiful. Take the shade Inspire, that neutral gold, and I'm going to apply that in my inner corner. Very pretty. Now I'm just going to work on the lower lash line. I think I want to pack on the shade Believe, that royal purple. Pack it really close to my lower lash line. So there is Believe on the lower lash line. The next shade I want to take is BBDC. The shade here. I honestly can't tell. It appears to be a brown, but it has a very like maroon burgundy undertone to it. I'm just going to use the same brush that I used for the shade Believe. Take a little bit of BBDC. And I'm going to blend out the shade Believe. It's a nice brown shade. I really can't describe it because now that it's mixed in with the shade Believe, can't quite tell what it has, but it appears to have a definitely like pink undertone to it. Going back in with the shade Believe because I lost it on the lower lash line. I'm just going to pack it back on. Same brush, taking the shade Believe, packing it on the outer V. Doing a light blend back and forth in this outer third. Taking the brush that I use for Unicorn Tribe, adding Unicorn Tribe back onto it, and taking the shade Unicorn Tribe and kind of blending the edges of my eyeshadow. taking the remainder from the brush that I'm using Unicorn Tribe on and just going to blend the lower lash line. In with the shade DDG. Adding it back onto the lid. I'm actually going to take the rest that's on my finger. I'm just going to add it to the lower lash line. The shade Inspire. Adding a little more into the inner corner, just in case I lost it. Shade Headliner. Now I've used that shade before on my brow bone. It is definitely a pressed pigment. It is definitely pigmented, so I'm going to try to tap a lot of it off from the brush onto my hand. And then taking the remainder and adding it to my brow bone. I think a lot of the shades in this palette definitely need to be worked like in small layers if you want a lighter look. Okay, so I think I'm satisfied with the way the eye look has turned out. So I'm going to put some mascara on and maybe the look will come together. So I have my mascara on. Hopefully it looks, I don't know, better. But it's still very pretty. I really enjoy this bright look. It's kind of cool. On the other eye, I'm going to do another eye look just because of time constraints, and it'll be a very busy end of the year. So I just want to be concise, unfortunately. This time I am priming my eyelid, and then we can just see if there will be a difference. The next eye look I want to do, it's going to be even brighter. I want to take the shade Brick Road, this really, really bright yellow, because it's also on this shirt that I'm wearing, and I was like, why not? I'm going to pack it on to my crease, all throughout the whole crease. This shade Brick Road seems to have a lot more fallout than the other shades I've used so far. Or it could just be because of the brush I'm using and the bristles and how very sparse they are. This is a very, very bright yellow. I can't even tell if the camera's doing it justice, but now I'm going to blend. Taking more of Brick Road, tapping off the excess, and packing it back on to the crease. and then blending. Okay, satisfied with the level of depth I was able to achieve, or like maybe not depth, but the pigment load and saturation. I really like that shade. The shade I'm going to take is Texas Made, this very vibrant pink. I'm going to pack it in the outer third. And now I am blending the shade Texas Made into the crease along with the shade Brick Road. Interesting. That's actually pretty neat. So I wasn't actually expecting this. I should have, but when I applied the shade Brick Road as my base layer in the crease, and then I applied the shade Texas Made on top of Brick Road, the pink ended up turning into this orange, and I think that's pretty cool. Very interesting. Not like the look I was going for, so that's a bit unfortunate, but that's pretty cool. I wonder if I just pack on the shade Texas Made, that it'll remain that vibrant hot pink, because that is the look I was going for. So hopefully it will remain hot pink. But in reality, it has not. It's definitely still turning into that orange in the crease. That's all right. I'll just move along with it. I'm going back in with Brick Road on its original brush. That really bright highlighter yellow. Just going to pack it in the outer half, because I don't really want to mix it with that now orange. Just leave it at that. And then I am going to take the brush that I used for Texas Made, going back in with Texas Made. Just going to pack it now on all over the lid, because I really wanted this to be pink. So it's pretty neat though, the way the colors kind of just changed. Taking Brick Road again, I'm going to try to mute down this orange by patting Brick Road on top of it. And then I'm going to blend. This turned out to be interesting. Going back in with Texas Made, the hot pink, and just packing it onto the lid. I'm not like super impressed by how it's turned out. I'm a bit bit disappointed because I had this look in mind, but it's okay. Now I'm going to take the shade Beyond, that hot pink shimmer. It looks hot pink, but it might not be. Oh, no, that's hot pink. I'm going to take this and just pack it all over my lid. Okay, with this particular shimmer, the hot pink shimmer in Beyond, this one has to be like pressed onto the lid. Like you can't just pat it on. You kind of have to press it. I didn't experience that with the purple shade DDG. It kind of just went on without me like tugging. But with this shade Beyond, I have to definitely press and like tug a bit on the eye. And even then, the shimmer isn't even there. It's like a satin. That's a bit disappointing. This eye look here is definitely not making me happy. It's actually making me frustrated. Okay, going back in with Brick Road and just trying to add it back in. I'm not super ecstatic about it. I mean, it's turned into a pretty gradient, but it wasn't the look I was going for. Going back in with the shade Texas Made and just running it on my lower lash line. Taking Texas Made and trying to add it back into this outer corner. You guys, that shimmer is just disappeared. I'm so upset. Adding Beyond again. I mean, maybe this shimmer does not need a matte base. Maybe it'll perform better just on the eyelid, but still it's just kind of annoying. All right. Taking Beyond and running it on my lower lash line. Yeah, it's like a satin. It's not even a shimmer. That's annoying. I think I want to add some depth to this look. Try to line my lash line, my upper lash line. Go in with the shade Back Rolls and line my lash line. I'm adding the remainder from this brush of the shade Back Rolls and just adding it to my lower lash line to also bring some definition there. Okay, so there's the eyeliner on. I like the depth. I'm really enjoying the depth part of this. For my inner corner, I took the shade Headliner. It's nice. Also adding it to the brow bone. I'm just gonna call this look. This is it. I'm gonna add some mascara and we'll just see if I like it better with mascara. So this is how my two eyes have turned out. I definitely have a preference for this deeper, darker, grungier side. It was nice to see me with a bright eye look. It's definitely not my favorite. This palette is much older, like way older. I don't know how long my friend had this palette sitting in her collection, but when she gave it to me, it was like earlier in the year during the summer. I like some of the shades, like I like a lot of the shades I used here on this purple eye, but the shades I used on this really bright orangey yellow pink eye, just, I don't know. I really like the yellow, but when I mix the yellow with the other shades, it turned into a different shade. And of course, that yellow is a pretty primary color. So, I mean, the looks are still very pretty. I like them, but I just have a lot more to consider, especially when using that yellow, since it is such a primary color. But more to come. This is just the first round of palette Limbo, and I will definitely be using this palette a little more until I gather my thoughts